Antonio Brown went from dominating the NFL, making defenders look like they were stuck in slow motion, to facing attempted murder charges.
Hey, don't let no one else in the game.
But how did his whole life start to crumble? It all began in his final season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me break it down. The beginning of the end, the infamous Tampa Bay exit. The 2nd of January 2022 was supposed to be just another regular Sunday in the NFL, but Antonio Brown had other plans. MetLife Stadium was buzzing with typical game day energy as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were absolutely demolishing the New York Jets, leading 24-10 in the third quarter. Everything was going according to script for the defending Super Bowl champions, and fans were probably already planning their playoff watch parties. But in a matter of minutes, what started as a boring blowout turned into the most viral sports moment of the decade, and honestly, it's still giving main character energy 3 years later. Antonio Brown's exit from the NFL was primarily due to his controversial mid-game departure in January 2022, leading to his release from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But calling it a departure is like calling the Titanic situation a minor shipping inconvenience. What went down that day was pure drama that had the entire internet losing its collective mind in real time. The drama started brewing on the sidelines like the kind of tension you see building up in reality TV shows right before someone absolutely snaps. Reports suggest Brown felt he was not healthy enough to play due to an ankle injury, which had kept him out of practice on Thursday and Friday before the game. Now, ankle injuries in the NFL are pretty standard stuff, but the way this situation escalated was absolutely unhinged. The whole conflict started when the coaching staff tried to get Brown back in the game, which should have been a normal interaction between player and coach. Despite being cleared by the team's medical staff, he refused to re-enter the game when asked by head coach Bruce Arians. And here's where Brown's version of events gets absolutely wild, because according to him, the conversation went completely left.
I'm on the sideline like 7-8 plays. Coach like, they need me to get in. So he looked like, yo, I'm like, coach, man, my ankle can't get in. He like, what? Yo, get the out of here, you done. But more in an aggressive tone. So at that time, it's like, man, I don't even want to wear your uniform, your logos. Just put it down and walked out.
Now, most normal people would probably just walk to the locker room and handle this situation like adults. But Antonio Brown decided to create the most iconic rage quit in sports history. What happened next was so absolutely unhinged that it instantly became the kind of content that gets turned into TikTok sounds and Twitter memes that live forever. The live broadcast captured every single second of this chaos, and the commentators were absolutely struggling to process what they were witnessing in real time.
That's Antonio Brown without his uniform, we are told, without his jersey, and running onto the field.
But that was just the opening act of this absolute spectacle. What came next was so perfectly dramatic that it honestly looked like it was scripted for maximum viral potential. The man really said, if I'm going out with style, and delivered content that still gets replayed on sports shows today.
Antonio Brown boiled over, very upset on the sideline, took off his shoulder pads. Mike Evans, O.J. Howard trying to convince him to keep them on. Obviously, they were unable to do so. He tossed his shoulder pads, stripped off his shirt and glove, threw those into the crowd, then ran across the field while the teams were still on the field, giving the crowd a peace out sign.
The visual of Brown running shirtless across an active NFL field while waving to 60,000 screaming fans became an instant meme that transcended sports. This wasn't just a player having a bad day. This was performance art that had everyone from sports analysts to TikTok creators trying to figure out what they just witnessed. The energy was absolutely unmatched. Even the veteran broadcasters who had covered decades of NFL games were absolutely speechless.
I've never seen anything like that. I've been affiliated with the NFL for over 30 years, and I have never seen anything like that in those 30 years.
The aftermath was swift and absolutely decisive. Head coach Bruce Arians stated he is no longer a Buck, marking the end of Brown's tenure with the team. Brown was officially released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on January 6, 2022, just 4 days after the incident. The organization really said, we're not dealing with this level of chaos, and cut ties with him. Even Tom Brady, who had basically been Brown's biggest supporter and the reason he was on the team in the first place, couldn't save him from the consequences of this absolutely wild display. Tom Brady, the quarterback who had been instrumental in bringing Brown to Tampa Bay, expressed compassion but acknowledged it wouldn't be with their team. When even the GOAT quarterback can't protect you from your own chaos, you know you've really messed up. This act was seen as insubordinate and unprecedented, with head coach Bruce Arians noting, I've never seen anything like it in all my years. In a league where following the rules and putting the team first are basically sacred principles, Brown's actions were posting a diss track about your employer while you're still at work. It was giving burn all bridges energy in the most public way possible. The whole situation also raised some serious questions about player autonomy and medical decisions in professional sports. Brown's refusal to play despite medical clearance became a central point of controversy, which sparked debates about whether players should have the right to make their own health decisions, even when team doctors clear them to play. But honestly, regardless of the medical debate, the way Brown handled the situation was absolutely unhinged. There are mature ways to handle disagreements with coaches and medical staff, and then there's stripping naked on live television while millions of people watch. Brown chose chaos, and chaos chose him right back. This moment effectively ended Brown's NFL career, even though no one officially announced it at the time. This act was seen as a final act of insubordination that no team was willing to overlook, given his history. The message was clear: no amount of talent is worth this level of drama and unpredictability. The Tampa Bay exit wasn't just a random meltdown. It was the inevitable conclusion of years of escalating behavior that had been building up like a pressure cooker. Anyone who had been paying attention to Brown's career trajectory could see that something like this was bound to happen eventually. The signs were all there, but somehow this moment still managed to shock everyone with its pure audacity. Within minutes of Brown's exit, clips were going viral on every platform, memes were being created in real time, and everyone from celebrities to random Twitter users was sharing their reactions. It was the kind of moment that shows how quickly something can become a cultural phenomenon in our extremely online world. But if you thought Antonio Brown's NFL exit was the final nail in his coffin, you clearly haven't been keeping up with the lore, because what he just did absolutely broke the internet in the worst possible way. Past redemption. As of July 2025, Brown is wanted for attempted murder following a shooting incident in Miami on May 16, 2025, with an arrest warrant issued on June 11, 2025. And we're not talking about some minor charges that his legal team can make disappear with the right PR strategy. This is straight up attempted murder we're dealing with here. That's the kind of charge that doesn't just end careers, it ends freedom for potentially decades. The whole situation went down in Miami's Little Haiti neighborhood, and honestly, the setting couldn't be more perfect for the absolute chaos that was about to unfold. The altercation occurred outside a celebrity kickboxing event hosted by streamer Aiden Ross at midnight on May 16, 2025. We're talking about the kind of influencer event where clout chasing and drama collide in the most predictable way possible. Now here's where things get interesting. Research suggests the altercation was initiated when Antonio Brown struck another man with a closed fist, as shown in surveillance footage. The victim, who had known Brown since 2022, reported that this initial strike led to a larger fight involving multiple individuals. But wait, it gets worse. So much worse. After security intervened to break up the fight, Brown retrieved a black firearm from the right hip area of a security staff member and ran toward the man he was fighting. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. This man literally took a gun from security and decided to escalate a fist fight into a potential murder scene. This footage that emerged from this incident is absolutely wild, and not in a good way. Cell phone video captured Brown advancing with the gun and firing shots while within several feet of the other man, who ducked the first shot. The victim reported being possibly grazed in the neck by a bullet and sought hospital treatment at a Ventura hospital, fearing for his life. We're talking about shots fired at point-blank range with someone literally ducking for their life. The evidence against Brown is absolutely damning. Police findings of 2 spent shell casings and an empty firearms holster supported the shooting narrative, which means there's physical proof backing up all the witness accounts and video footage. But here's where Brown's social media addiction really shows its ugly side. Instead of laying low and letting his legal team handle things, this man decided to hop on X, formerly Twitter, and try to control the narrative like he's running a crisis management masterclass. Brown's social media post on May 17, 2025 claimed he was jumped by multiple individuals who tried to steal his jewelry and cause physical harm to him.
You good, my boy? That is insane.
This account, however, is contradicted by surveillance footage, which shows him as the aggressor. So not only did he allegedly try to commit murder, but he also tried to gaslight the entire internet into believing he was the victim. That's some next-level manipulation. Reports indicate that after the alleged attempted murder, Brown went and hung out with Aiden Ross at his house, shirtless, like nothing ever happened. The internet's reaction was exactly what you'd expect.
Why would he think that this was appropriate behavior? I think he's just a little off the...
Yeah.
Off.
Reports suggest Brown is believed to be in Dubai, with no current efforts to extradite him noted, making a return to the NFL highly unlikely. This man really went, if I can't play football, I'm going to become an international fugitive, and actually followed through. But it may not last. His financial situation is an absolute disaster. His bankruptcy filing in May 2024 revealed assets worth less than $50,000 despite earning over $80 million during his career, with debts totaling nearly $3 million to creditors. We're talking about someone who managed to blow through NFL money so fast that he's basically broke while hiding from the police in Dubai. That's some expensive lifestyle choices right there. Even while facing attempted murder charges, Brown couldn't resist creating more controversy. On July 12, 2025, Brown posted a collage featuring soccer icon Lionel Messi with a racial slur as the caption, sparking significant backlash. Imagine being wanted for attempted murder and still finding time to be racist on the internet. The commitment to chaos is honestly impressive in the worst possible way. What a fall from grace. The transformation from NFL legend to international fugitive is honestly one of the most dramatic character developments in sports history. We're talking about someone who went from catching touchdown passes to potentially catching decades in federal prison. Looking at Brown's post-NFL journey from his dramatic Tampa Bay exit to his current fugitive status, the pattern is absolutely clear. This isn't just about someone struggling to adjust to retirement. This is someone whose relationship with reality has become completely unmoored. The combination of financial recklessness, alleged violence, social media provocations, and criminal charges paints a picture of someone who's living in their own reality show where they're the main character and everyone else is just NPCs. The evidence leans toward Brown being the aggressor in the Miami incident, though he claimed he was jumped and his jewelry was targeted, a claim contradicted by surveillance footage. This whole deny everything and blame others strategy has become his signature move, and honestly, it's giving toxic influencer vibes where personal responsibility is apparently a foreign concept. The resolution of Brown's legal troubles is still pending, but regardless of how it ends, his transformation from NFL superstar to wanted fugitive will go down as one of the most shocking and disturbing falls from grace in entertainment history. Antonio, of course, didn't just turn out this way. Nah, far from it. As we'll see next, this wasn't an isolated incident. It was the culmination of years of increasingly chaotic behavior that had been building toward exactly this kind of explosive moment, a history of chaos and controversy. To understand how Antonio Brown went from being an absolute unit on the football field to creating the most viral rage quit in sports history, we need to talk about the absolutely chaotic timeline of controversies that had been building up like a Netflix documentary series. Brown's history of conflicts with teams contributed to the environment that led to his exit, making it difficult for him to secure another NFL contract after 2022. But to really understand the scope of his fall from grace, we need to scroll back through the timeline and examine all the red flags that everyone either ignored or hoped would magically disappear. The drama really started cooking during his final years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is wild because they're literally known for being one of the most stable franchises in the league. Brown's departure from Pittsburgh in 2019 was marked by dissatisfaction with his role, including an alleged argument with quarterback Ben Roethlisberger and skipping practices, which led to him being benched for the Week 17 game against the Bengals. This was giving major, I'm the main character and everyone else is just supporting cast energy. The fact that Brown couldn't get along with the Steelers should have been a massive red flag for everyone. This is a franchise that had supported him through his entire rise to stardom, basically treating him like their golden child. If you can't maintain professional relationships with people who literally made you famous, that's giving serious problematic behavior vibes. But then Brown signed with the Oakland Raiders, and what happened next was basically a masterclass in how to absolutely destroy a professional relationship in record time. Brown was released before the 2019 season after a series of incidents, including frostbite from cryotherapy that caused him to miss 10 of 11 training camp practices, helmet grievances that resulted in $54,000 in fines for absences, and a verbal altercation with GM Mike Mayock that cost him $215,000 in additional fines. The Raiders guaranteed him $30 million, and he managed to mess that up before the season even started. That's some expensive self-sabotage right there. Let's break down just how unhinged this Raiders situation was. First, the man got frostbite from a cryotherapy session because he didn't wear proper shoes. That's not bad luck. That's making poor life choices that have expensive consequences. Then he spent weeks fighting about helmet regulations like he was launching a one-man protest against player safety. Finally, he had a full-blown meltdown at the general manager and basically told him off in a way that made it impossible for the organization to keep him around. The helmet controversy alone was giving Major Karen energy, where someone decides to make a minor inconvenience their entire personality. Instead of just adapting to new safety equipment like every other player in the league, Brown chose to die on this hill and ended up costing himself millions of dollars in the process. That's commitment to chaos that honestly has to be respected, even if it's absolutely unhinged. Brown's brief stint with the New England Patriots in 2019 ended after just one game amid sexual assault allegations and intimidating text messages, which really shows how serious his reputation had become. The Patriots are literally known for giving second chances to troubled players, but even Bill Belichick's legendary ability to handle difficult personalities couldn't manage whatever Brown was bringing to the table. The most serious allegations emerged in 2019 when his former trainer, Brittany Taylor, filed a lawsuit accusing him of rape and sexual assault, which was dropped in 2022. This lawsuit cost Brown endorsement deals with major brands like Nike and Pepsi, significantly impacting his financial standing. When major brands start dropping you, that's when you know the situation has moved beyond just football drama into serious reputation damage. The financial implications of Brown's behavior were absolutely wild. Brown has faced allegations of domestic violence and unpaid debts, including $1.2 million owed to a truck driver from a 2020 assault incident. This eventually led to Brown filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in May 2024, claiming assets worth less than $50,000, despite earning over $80 million during his NFL career. Imagine blowing through NFL money so fast that you end up basically broke. That's some absolutely legendary financial mismanagement. His personal life also became public entertainment in the worst way possible. His arrest in October 2023 for failing to pay over $30,000 in child support to Wiltrice Jackson, the mother of his eldest daughter, was giving deadbeat energy that had everyone side-eyeing his priorities. He was released after posting a $15,000 bond, but the damage to his reputation was already done. Throughout all of this chaos, Brown's social media presence became increasingly unhinged and absolutely perfect content for anyone who loves watching train wrecks in real time. His posts were giving everything from cryptic victim mentality to straight-up provocative content that seemed designed to keep him in the headlines. This wasn't strategic brand building. This was someone who seemed addicted to attention, whether it was positive or negative. The cumulative effect of all these controversies was that teams started viewing Brown as too much of a liability to handle, regardless of his obvious talent on the field. The risk-reward calculation had shifted so dramatically that even desperate teams wouldn't take a chance on it. When you're too chaotic for teams that are literally losing games, that's when you know you've reached peak problematic status. Even when Brown seemed to find some stability with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady in 2021, the underlying issues never got addressed. The success was just a temporary pause in the chaos, not an actual solution to whatever was causing all these problems. It was giving everything his fine energy while the house was still on fire. Brown's 2022 mid-game exit from the Buccaneers was seen as a final act of insubordination that no team was willing to overlook, given his history. The incident wasn't shocking because it came out of nowhere. It was shocking because it was the perfect culmination of years of escalating behavior that everyone had been watching build up in real time. By the time Brown walked off that field in Tampa Bay, he had systematically burned bridges with literally every organization that had tried to work with him. His talent was still undeniable, but his ability to function in any kind of structured environment had been completely compromised. He'd created a personal brand around chaos, and chaos had finally consumed everything else. The pattern that emerged from Brown's career was one of constant escalation, where each controversy had to be bigger and more dramatic than the last to maintain the same level of attention. It was giving influencer energy, where staying relevant requires constantly pushing boundaries, except the consequences were real NFL contracts and millions of dollars. Looking at the timeline, it's clear that Brown's NFL exit was inevitable. The Tampa Bay incident was just the final episode of a series that had been building toward this conclusion for years. But as we've seen from his post-NFL life, walking away from football was just the beginning of an even more chaotic chapter that would make all his previous controversies look like minor social media beef. The Antonio Brown saga is pretty much what happens when talent, ego, and social media culture collide in the worst possible way. Antonio Brown was absolutely goated in his prime. We're talking about someone who was genuinely built different on the football field. Brown earned 6 Pro Bowl selections and 4 consecutive first-team All-Pro honors during his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, literally dominating the league and making defensive backs look like they were running in slow motion. This man was serving main character energy every Sunday, putting up numbers that had fantasy football players treating him like he was printing money. But here's where this story gets absolutely wild, and why it's giving cautionary tale vibes that would make even the most chaotic content creators think twice about their life choices. Brown's downfall wasn't some gradual decline that happened over years. This was a full-blown speed run of self-destruction, the kind of unraveling you almost couldn't look away from. One minute he's torching defenders for 200-yard games, the next he's going viral for walking off the field mid-game, shirtless, in what might be the most surreal NFL exit ever recorded. And that was just the beginning. What makes Antonio Brown's story so fascinating and low-key terrifying is how it perfectly captures the social media age we're living in. Every mistake, every unhinged moment, every absolutely wild decision was captured, clipped, and turned into content that lives forever on the internet. He didn't just spiral, he documented the spiral in real time. From posting bizarre Instagram rants to getting into heated Twitter beefs with former teammates, coaches, and even the NFL itself, Brown became a walking headline generator. Then came the legal troubles, accusations, arrests, lawsuits, you name it. There were standoffs with police, unpaid child support allegations, and even bizarre business ventures that collapsed almost as quickly as they were announced. One day he's dropping a rap video, the next he's being dragged in court. It became almost impossible to tell what was real and what was part of some elaborate performance. And now, with reports that he's wanted by the police for serious charges, we've reached a point where this is no longer just a sports story, it's a cultural one. Brown's journey from NFL icon to internet meme to fugitive status is one of the wildest turns we've ever seen in modern sports history. And the most shocking part, he still acts like he's just getting started, like the show must go on, even if the cameras are now coming from police body cams instead of ESPN. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out more amazing content on our channel. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.